This is George Masri, and you're listening to another episode of the Well Off Podcast, where today I interviewed Jamie and Leslie Collard, who are actually abroad right now. I didn't actually catch the exact name of the place, but they're somewhere off the coast of Venezuela or something like that, or they could see the coast of Venezuela. Anyways, back to the point of this. So they're real estate investors out of southwestern Ontario. They started off in the kind of Brantford area and have expanded. They've even invested in Aurora and now in New Brunswick. So I'm seeing that as a bit of a trend now. A lot of people are starting to invest in New Brunswick because of the advantages of the landlord-tenant board. It's more favorable for landlords to be investing there. And in addition to that, there are no rent increase guidelines or no limits, from my understanding, in terms of how much you can raise rent. So we talked a little bit about that. We talked about their journey, how they went from literally having no real estate assets or no rental properties in 2017 to owning over 200 doors. So I was curious to know how they were able to do that. How did they grow so fast? And what are they doing today? What are they focusing on today? If you're interested in hearing how to grow your portfolio very quickly and do it in a manageable way, then this is a great episode for you. And as always, just a reminder to leave us a review if possible on the platform that you're listening on, especially the Apple Podcasts platform. You can go give us a 5-star review, share this with your friends and family. That's always appreciated. And feel free to connect with me by going to welloff.ca and booking a call. I'm happy to connect with all of you guys that are listening, and I truly appreciate your support. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to the Well Off Podcast, where the goal is to motivate, inspire, and share success principles. I'm here with Jamie and Leslie Collard from Collard Properties. So they're real estate investors in southwestern Ontario who focused on providing high-end rentals in great communities. They've bought their first rental in 2017 and currently own nearly 200 rental units. So although they began their journey with properties that contain 1 to 4 units, their main focus now is multifamily apartment buildings. So Jamie and Leslie, welcome to the show. It's nice to have you here, sort of.
Yeah, thank you.
I know you guys are not in Canada right now. You guys are living the good life. So the way I like to start off here is by asking you a little bit about your childhood. I know there's 2 of you, so maybe just briefly tell me about where you grew up and maybe one thing you remember from when you were a kid.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we actually both grew up in Burford, Ontario, which is a very small town. It's actually twice the size now, I would say, with like 1,200 people now. So it's a pretty small little place. And, I kind of grew up. I was, one of 3 children, youngest of 3 children, and basically grew up in renovation projects because my whole family was contractors. Uncles, cousins, everybody has been in the construction field. So
yeah, like Leslie said, we grew up in the same town. Didn't necessarily hang out or meet until later on. I mean, we knew who each other were, but never started dating till we were about 30. And Leslie grew up with construction. I did not grow up with construction. I was more into like cars, engines, motorcycles, dirt bikes, that sort of stuff. That's kind of my background and what I grew up with.
Cool. Well, that's great. I've never been to Burford, Ontario, but I'm curious to see. I know, like, the way things are right now, you're starting to see a lot of people push out further and further to explore different opportunities. But like, you're starting to have to go beyond Burford for some people to get into an affordable area. It's interesting to see how that's happening. So let's talk about your journey. 2017. So neither of you had rental properties at that point. You got into your first one only 4 years ago.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah. So we were, same thing as most real estate investors. At that point, we were HGTV junkies. We kept watching Income Property, with Scott McGillivray. And every time we watch it, I'd say to Jamie, I can do this. And he was like, we're not doing this. And I'm like, no, I really think I can do this. And, but I had the confidence because I also had the family behind me that, we knew my dad was a contractor. I could call my cousins if I needed anything, and I knew that we could get the job done. Jamie thought I was a little bit loony.
Yeah, for sure. At that time, I had another I still do have another business, an auto repair business. So that's what I was working in full time. I was quite busy at that. And frankly, I didn't think we had enough time to get into the real estate stuff.
Yeah, we also had a son who's in, he was playing rec league hockey at that point. So it was a little bit of a timing issue, but you know, to say that I'm an overachiever is probably, that's putting it lightly.
Leslie's very driven.
Yeah.
So I was like, give me the challenge. But we seen just a Facebook ad popped up literally when I was scrolling through Facebook one day for Keyspire for Scott McGillivray. He was coming into Hamilton. I was a probation officer at that point, and he was actually coming to the same building that I worked in with a 2-hour education session on how you can become a real estate investor. We went to it, we were hooked, and honestly, that's what started our journey. So, and we actually, right up until lunchtime on the day of the seminar, I kept saying, I don't know, I'm pretty tired. Like, if you don't want to go, I won't go. I was trying to talk Jamie out of it because I just wanted to go home.
Right.
He was like, no, let's go. And yeah, changed our lives for sure.
Awesome. So if we break down the math, if you guys are over 200 units now, that means you bought about 50 units per year in the last couple of years. How did you manage to do that? Did you start off like in 2017? Did you buy a whole bunch of properties, or did you just kind of expand quickly?
No, we bought 3 in 2007.
3 doors. We bought 3 doors. 2
doors. Okay.
And then it was after 2017. So we bought our first property. It was a single family home, which cost us, we paid $106,000 for it in Woodstock, Ontario. And it's funny because we were like, should we not? Yeah. Is it too overpriced? So we took a chance. We put $15,000 into it. We refinanced it for $172,000. That refinance came through the day before we closed on our next duplex. So our next duplex cost us $3,000 out of pocket. So after that, bank told us no. So we were like, well, this is the end of our real estate career.
Yeah, bank said no more.
We didn't know any better. And then we started to learn a little bit more about joint ventures. So we started to do some joint ventures, did a lot of joint ventures with my dad and his wife. So we bought 10 units or so with them. Yeah. And then we started to really get the confidence and realize we knew what we were doing. And really started to learn a little bit more about, using other people's money and using private lending to buy these properties and
mortgage brokers too.
Yeah, real mortgage brokers, not just somebody at the bank who said, no, you don't qualify.
Yeah, we eventually talked to a mortgage broker and he's like, oh, I can probably buy you 20 more properties at this point. Like, oh.
And I was like, let's do that. So that's really, it was just we just started to build up our team and actually get out there and network with other real estate investors. And it was a game changer. Mm-hmm. And,
at first we were like the people that we would sit in the front of the room to listen at anything we went to, any sort of real estate event we went to, but very quiet. We didn't socialize with anybody.
No.
Didn't know what we were doing essentially. And
well, we were afraid. We were like, if we talk to people, they're going to realize we don't know anything.
Yeah. Eventually, once we started talking to everybody and learning from everybody else, that's when our real estate really took off.
Yeah, it took off for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So tell me about what you guys are investing in. I know you said you started off with like smaller properties and then you went into apartment buildings. So what are you looking for today and what markets are you in? Are you still in Woodstock or are you in other markets as well?
Yeah, so right now we're only focusing on apartment buildings. So ideally, like the 30 unit and over. We still look at the smaller ones though. Like sometimes there's a 12 unit that's out there that maybe we don't want in our long-term portfolio, but it might be a good flip. But we really do look for the apartment buildings in the best neighborhoods that are just, they've got landlords who haven't taken care of them for whatever reason, could be an older owner or, somebody who's got it paid off and it's just kind of cash flow for them. So our whole company is based off of, putting money back into the local communities and bringing in, good tenants and working professionals, or not even necessarily just working professionals. We do take on students or really anybody, but as long as they're a good tenant profile. But we do offer high-end rental units. So we have now 9 or 10 apartment buildings, I think, somewhere around there. And that's kind of where we want to stay within, is the apartment building. So we're in a little bit of a transition phase right now, though, because we are also looking at land development. So we've been having some discussions with some big developers actually to start building these buildings.
Yeah, and as far as area, I mean, we've pushed as far west as St. Thomas, Ontario, as far north as Aurelia, but the majority are in our Brantford, Hamilton area kind of thing. We do have one out west in New Brunswick, out east in New Brunswick, and we are going to be closing out another one out in New Brunswick in the next month or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we expanded our business model into the Caribbean as well. So we own three properties right now in Curacao. And we're closing on another one, and we're working on building that portfolio up as well. So.
Okay. So yeah, you said that you're basically investing in good areas and you are looking for high quality apartment buildings. You're not getting into stuff that needs, a full rebuild or full gut or whatever. Would that be your main criteria? Because you're investing in different cities. So is that sort of what you look for? Is that your primary criteria, or is there other things as well that's important for you?
So actually, it's the opposite. We want
the worst building.
A rundown.
Oh, okay, in the best area.
The nice neighborhood, yeah. And we typically we go in and completely renovate the whole apartment building.
Right, I see.
Yeah.
So the good old Burr.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we're Burrs, we're taking the buildings that the plumbing looks like it's going to burst.
Mm-hmm.
In plumbing, we're taking the knob and tube out. Like we're going into these buildings that everybody else has just kind of forgotten about and said, no way, it's too much, and we're making them into high-end rentals.
Okay, a lot of people now are starting to look at New Brunswick.
Yeah.
How did that happen for you, and why did you decide to explore that market?
So we have a good partner out there that's boots on the ground. He's in Halifax actually, but he's quite interested in New Brunswick and made a bunch of trips there, and numbers really just made sense. Landlord tenant board rules are a little easier for investors out there as well. A little more pro landlord than pro tenant, I would say. So, and the price per door is quite a bit cheaper out there. So, just running numbers, it really made sense out there. And we had somebody that was going to be boots on the ground there to help operate it.
Okay.
Our type of business model, I mean, New Brunswick and Nova Scotia for a long time were kind of like the lost souls, where investors weren't going in and really putting out like a nice product. So with us, we can go into these buildings and we can, not only do all the plumbing and HVAC and all that kind of stuff to bring it up to code, but we can also put a really good product out there that tenants are proud to live in. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and I mean, again, like just having a little bit more flexibility with the landlord tenant board, and that's very appealing based on some of the concerns that are in Ontario that they don't have to deal with. So
sure. Can you guys walk us through just quickly, what would the procedure look like to purchase a building in New Brunswick if you live in Ontario?
Well, so our partner out there does, we opened a corporation with our partner out in New Brunswick and, or in Nova Scotia. So basically, he deals with most of the mortgage applications, but I can tell you it's been
far easier than
the easiest mortgage applications we have ever been through. Mm-hmm. So, because we're actually closing on another building out in Nova Scotia in like a couple of weeks here. So it's the least amount of paperwork we've ever sent in.
Yeah, and we're getting, pre-reno buildings, we're getting 75% loan to value out there with super low interest rates, like 1.7% or something like that.
And the rents are like 40% of the market rents.
Yeah.
Like they're really, and we're not getting, we're buying these buildings at a 6 or a 5.5 cap. So it's not like we're buying them at a 7 or 8 or anything. So it's honestly, it's been pretty easy. We haven't really run into any struggles. And even so, where one of the buildings that we recently closed on, it's deemed as a 55 and over building. So we're just keeping it like that because, we could have went back and said, like, let's change it. It would have cost a little bit of money, but because there's no buildings out there for the 55 and over range, we just decided that that's probably an ideal clientele anyway, right?
Yeah.
So it's been super easy, honestly.
Yeah, it's been easier than Ontario, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've heard that before. So moving forward, is that going to be your focus to continue looking out east, or are you still focusing on buying in Ontario as well?
We're still buying in Ontario as well.
Yeah, different types of properties.
Yeah, we have a full team here of contractors that we work with, and we have 3 project managers that work under us, and just electricians, plumbers, everything that we're trying to keep busy, right? They mainly just work for us, so we want to keep buying here as well to keep them going. We do have another one in Kitchener that we're closing on in April. And yeah, we're always looking for more deals.
Again, we're going to be moving over into more of the land development side of things though. So, I mean, it gives us a bit more of an opportunity because I really like the design side of it. And it's an opportunity for us, we feel, to really, really bring some money into different communities that are up and coming. So that's what we really love doing, those kinds of things. So.
Cool. I was also, before jumping on here with you guys, I looked at your website and I saw that you had, as a family, set a goal to retire before you turned 40, and you were able to achieve that. Yeah. So congratulations on that. Can you walk us through how you did that? Did you set like a certain cash flow goal or net worth goal or something like that? And how'd you work towards reaching that goal of retiring before 40?
So our goal was really just to replace our paycheck that we had, from our day jobs, essentially. We were lucky enough that I had my auto repair business that I sort of phased out of and found people to run that company. And then Leslie's income we replaced with the real estate stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it is slow getting there with the BRRRR because the BRRRR model takes a little bit, especially on an apartment building, to get one completed and redone. But obviously with that many doors now, there's enough cash flow coming in to pay her salary as well.
For sure.
We call it retirement, but I mean, we're probably working as hard or harder than before. We just work for ourselves.
Yeah. It's fun work now. Mm-hmm. I don't have to work until 10 at night, well, some days I do, but for the most part, if I'm working at 10 at night, because it's because I want to.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So from what I'm hearing you say, you guys got together and said, okay, if we can replace our income, then that's our goal in terms of being able to retire by 40, because at this stage of your lives, if you stop generating any income, you're able to survive from your assets, from the income that your assets are producing.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And, it's not even just so sure, we have the income from them, but I mean, if we sold all of our assets, we are, not only are we set, we're probably, our son's got a very good foundation underneath him as well. So, I mean, it's the whole net worth that has come just in 4 years. It kind of blows us. Well, it does blow us away. Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, in under 4 years, we've potentially set ourselves up and our next generation up. So
yeah, for sure. I don't know if you guys have a cell phone that's the notifications are going off, but are you guys able to just put it on like do not disturb or something, just so the audio comes out Oh, it doesn't come out onto the podcast?
It's actually on the computer and I don't know how to stop that.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay. So the next thing I want to ask you about, I also noticed that you guys had a little blurb about investing through RRSPs or TFSAs or whatnot. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Is that something that you guys are doing, or are you leveraging other people's RRSPs to invest and partner with them that way?
So
Both.
both.
Yeah.
Yeah, both. So we have our RSPs, all of our registered funds are in private mortgages, or no, sorry, they're in syndicated mortgages right now.
Mhm.
They're coming due. We're going to start putting them in private mortgages, probably with friends of ours or whatever. But we also use other people's RSPs and TFSAs on, a first or second position mortgages on some of our BRRs. So basically, when we get the building, if it's a quick close and we don't have time to get conventional financing, then we just we start off with putting a first or second position.
Mhm.
On. Yeah.
And then I'm assuming your goal would be to refinance soon after to pay back the loan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's usually short term.
Yeah.
We try and get our BRRRRs done in a year to 18 months kind of thing on some of these
Yeah.
buildings. So, you get the high interest RSP mortgages for 18 months and then pay it out with a conventional mortgage at the end.
Cool. And you're talking about your buildings? You're doing this for your buildings?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit of a different theory when it comes to, some investors are really kind of scared of the high interest mortgages, but in our minds, I'm okay with paying the high interest because of how much, wealth comes back to us after we finish the BRRRR. But also we're all real estate investors and we like to get our money from other real estate investors. So I'm happy to help them make their financial goals as well.
Yeah, we basically just add another line in our renovation budget for the interest carrying costs of the higher loans, right? So
Yeah.
it obviously has to make sense in the end to work out for a refinance, but that's how we generally do it.
Okay. And maybe if we're able to, can we go through an example of a building that you guys have recently worked on, or maybe say one in Ontario and then one in New Brunswick to kind of compare the numbers and see how that turned out?
Yeah, so we have a building right now that we're working on in St. Thomas, and so it's actually a complex, I would say. It's got 3 separate buildings on it. So with 33 units, we paid I think 3.6 million for it. We have a goal of doing 75% of the units. The way we choose those units is basically which ones are in the worst shape that we need to really, we have to get in there. We got to do the plumbing. We have to do the electrical. We have to do the HVAC. We're negotiating with tenants, cash for keys. We're helping them find other places to live. And after 75% of the building is finished in that scenario, which we're probably going to put about $1 million into it. With the level of renovations that we do. We just figured it out. It's going to be valued at over $6 million. So, and that'll be within
18 months.
18 months for that one. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, those are the kinds of numbers and buildings that we're looking at. One out in New Brunswick that we have, so that's a 32 unit complex. So there's 2 buildings on that parcel of land. Again, 55 and older. So simply through rent increases, but also we're going in, one building is older than the other and it does need love.
Yeah, a
it
little
needs
bit.
love. So we're going to go in and we're going to do whatever we need to do.
Yeah, right away. We just took possession of it. Right away, we're, updating the heating, putting ductless splits in.
Yeah.
So everybody has their own air conditioning and heating.
Which is important for seniors.
Yeah, for seniors, I'd say it's a kind of a important thing to have air conditioning because they don't right now. So that's one of the first major upgrades we're doing. But, the one building is in pretty good shape, but, the common areas, they need flooring and, and just fixing up just to make it nicer.
Yeah.
So the other ones we might get into kitchen cabinets, all that sort of stuff.
I think we paid $2.4 million for that one, for the 32 units. And after it's finished, I know on the refinance, we're going to pull out about $600,000 after about 12 months.
Okay. The reno budget's not as high there, probably about $350,000.
Yeah, it's not very high at all. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, just to kind of do some rough numbers for that first example in St. Thomas, you said you have 33 units and you're renovating about 75%, which would bring us to what, around maybe 20 units are being renovated, let's say?
24, I think is the number.
25. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say 24 of the units, and you said you're going to spend about $1 million on those 24 units. So what is that? I can't do the math off the top of my head, but how much are you spending per unit here on the renos?
With the full renovation, what we're looking at is updating security. So the security system that we're putting in, because it's a huge complex, that security would be about $30,000, right?
Right. Yeah. So it's not just the unit cost, but it's also the common elements or whatever else you're doing to the building. Yeah. So roughly, if you were to break everything down, put it all into the units, it would be about $40,000 per unit that you're spending, and that includes the common areas and whatever else.
It's usually 40,000 plus common areas at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're trying to stick between 25,000 and 35,000, but I mean, price of materials has gone higher. So
Understood. Okay. And so if you're spending 40,000 per unit, that means you're doing pretty much everything. You're rewiring the place and doing the plumbing and putting in nice cabinets and also like new appliances, that type of thing. Am I right?
Yeah.
And is that the same strategy in New Brunswick, or will you adjust and maybe put lower or less quality or whatever? You know what I mean? Like not spend as much per unit because of maybe the tenant profile or whatnot.
So we are going to be spending the same amount per unit. So that's because it's our brand. We're very true to our brand.
Okay.
We want to have the nicest products on the market. We want people to be very, very proud of where they live.
Yeah.
And we find that when we have tenants coming in, they love the place. They take such good care of it.
Yeah. The difference in New Brunswick is that it's not.
Labor's cheaper.
Labor's a whole lot cheaper out there.
Yeah.
But a lot of these units are actually in pretty good shape, so we're not going to have to go to, they're going to be as nice when we're done with them, but we're not going to have to go quite as far.
Yeah.
The other nice thing about it there is, like we're raising the rents. Essentially, there is rent caps, but not. You can raise the rents a lot easier out there. So we're forecasting that a bunch of people are going to just stay when we raise rents to market value, and we're not going to have the opportunity to actually go in and do their complete unit.
Yeah, and we're actually going to do that in stages. So we're not going in and saying, here's your $300 a month rental increase. We're gonna let people, not us, but our property management company is talking to people and let them know what's going on, and we can come up with a strategy for that.
Sure.
Yeah, we're not gouging. We're bringing it up to just a market rent.
Yep.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think the last thing I want to ask you about, so in Ontario, your cash for keys, how do you approach that? What's your approach in terms of wanting to get a tenant out and paying them? Can you just walk us through that?
So the biggest key, I think, to that strategy is you can't buy a nice building. Like the buildings we buy are in rough shape.
Yeah.
People know they need to be renovated. They know there's problems with their unit. I mean, typically when we take over these buildings, we get a list from people telling us all the things that are wrong in their unit. So it's not a huge surprise to them when we go to them saying like, we're going to have to reno your unit at some point here. So we try and be as fair as possible where we, our property manager even goes out of his way to help them find a better unit to move to. So we can do the renos in their units.
Yeah.
And being able to compensate them and give them money.
And we compensate fairly. We're
Yeah.
not, we don't go in and we don't say, if you leave, we'll give you $1,000. So our cash for keys is part of our budget.
Keep it.
And sorry, our computer just did something weird here. But our cash for keys is part of our budget. And, in today's market, we're factoring in $5,000 per unit. So we might make deals that are less than that. Some units might be more than that. But, we have to also keep in mind that these people have sometimes lived in these units for 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
And for them to be comfortable to take a buyout, basically, for them to move without having to take them to landlord-tenant board, then you have to have a fair offer for them, right? And there is moving costs, and there is a lot of costs associated with leaving. So we try to be as fair as we possibly can with them.
Sure.
And we've had pretty good success with it. That I would say the majority of people that we do the cash for keys with are quite happy to take the funds and actually move to a nicer place.
Because they know it's terrible.
A lot of times they want to move and they just don't have the means to do it. So this just kind of helps them out to get out the door and get into a nicer apartment.
Yeah.
Okay, so to recap here, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but the way you would approach it is either yourself or your property manager would approach somebody and say, hey, we understand that there's a lot that needs to be done to this unit in this building, and we plan on doing some renovations. We understand that you've been living here a long time, and we're willing to compensate you to help you move on to your next home so that we can fix up your unit. We can give you X dollars, and our property manager is going to help you find another place to live. Are you comfortable with that? Are you comfortable in discussing that option? Is that more or less how you approach it?
Pretty much.
Yeah. And we're not going in and doing like the typical renoviction that you hear about. I mean, the units that we tenants out of, they are legitimately going to have to leave if we have to take them to the landlord-tenant board because their unit is that bad of shape.
Yeah.
We're not doing this on just, a unit just because we want to increase the rent. Like these buildings are in rough shape and we bring them back to life. So.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's fair. Okay. That's great. I wanted to move on to the next section, which is the random 5. So I'll be asking you 5 random questions, and I guess whoever wants to answer first can do so. So let's start off with number 1. Where would you like to retire?
That's easy.
We can both answer. We're sitting here.
Yeah, we're in Curacao right now. We love it here.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice weather all year round, and easy flight to get here, and
feels like home.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I know you guys said you've invested there as well. What was the name of the place again?
Curacao. Yeah. So it's right beside Aruba.
Oh, okay, cool.
Right off the coast of Argentina. I can see Argentina actually from Venezuela from my kitchen.
Nice. That's awesome. Okay, cool. So that was an easy one. Number 2, who do you go out of your way to be nice to?
Everybody.
Yeah, most people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of that's our company motto, I guess, is
just be kind and help people.
Yeah.
And help people achieve their goals. And we get reach outs all the time asking, how did you get to where you're at? And like, I'm happy to help people do that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Everybody.
Cool. Number 3, what's the best thing you got from your parents?
Jamie's going to disagree with me on this. Work ethic.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah. Why would you disagree? But
go ahead.
No, I would say we were brought up in a lot of different homes.
Very different homes. He wasn't have to do. I had to work. My first job, I was like 7 years old. I remember, but my family, my dad for sure is very, very intense when it comes to working. And I'm exactly the same way.
Yeah. And I would say kindness from our family. My family was always, friends with everybody, nice people.
Yeah.
Mine's very open and speak your mind.
And we're
yeah. That's funny. I was listening to Sebastian Maniscalco. I don't know if you guys know him, but he was talking about that exact thing about his Italian family being very open and speaking their minds, and his wife's family being the opposite. So yeah, number 4, what looks delicious but tastes terrible?
Cilantro.
I agree.
Oh, see?
Yeah, I don't like the smell of it, the look, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Leslie loves Ethiopian food. So
yeah, that's my favorite.
We were lucky enough to travel there, and I do not like Ethiopian food.
That's fair.
It has a great aroma, but
it's the best.
Yeah.
I'm not big on spices, and they're very spicy.
Yeah. I get that. I understand that. Yeah. Number 5, are there any songs that always bring a tear to your eye?
Songs. So, tears in my eye. I don't think so. I mean, there's a couple of songs that have really resonated with me, but like, so strange, but Daddy's Hands, I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's like a song where it's about a man that just really works hard for his family, and that's been my dad my whole life. And
I would say we're not a big musical family though. Like,
no,
when we're in the car, we're usually listening to podcasts and stuff.
Yeah.
We don't typically have music going.
Right. Fair enough. And that's what helped you get to where you are today. So that's awesome. Yeah. So to conclude things, how do people reach you, and what services do you provide?
So we can be reached at our email, which is info@collardproperties.ca, or on our website at www.collardproperties.ca. Right now, we do have a mentoring program where we walk people through every step, from setting goals to writing offers on commercial multifamily. We bring our team to the table, show you how to run numbers, and give you all the documents that we actually use in our everyday life. Now, we just started that program, so it's going to be closed now for new registrants, but we will be starting another one in it's going to be probably next January or February, because we're going to be traveling a lot in the fall. And then we also do have a property management company. So we do manage properties within an hour radius of Brantford, Ontario. And our whole motto in that company is we're very investor focused, and it's more about helping investors maximize their portfolio. Hopefully being able to help people see where they can either refinance a property, buy more, those kinds of things. So
yeah, the other thing we're doing is we're doing masterminds. We start doing them in the Caribbean. We have one that we're going to be doing in November. It's pretty much already full.
Yeah.
We got a great response from it really quick, and all the schools in our area here have been booked up. But I think we're going to be doing that at least once a year from now on, if not 2 times or more.
We have to do it twice a year.
And we might, I don't know. We haven't decided yet. It's something brand new we've just started, so we'll see how it goes. But we may be going all over the Caribbean with it.
Yeah.
Awesome. That sounds really cool. Well, I appreciate you guys sharing your story, and it was really nice meeting you two, and I look forward to staying in touch and reconnecting.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for inviting us on. This was really, really fun to do. So
enjoyed it.
All right. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Okay. Bye. Thanks once again for listening to another episode of the Well Off Podcast. Just want to remind you that if you do appreciate the content, all I ask is that you comment, maybe like it if you can on the platform that you're listening to it on, and finally share it with friends and family. I'd love to get the message out there, and it would mean a lot if you can share it. And finally, I just wanted to offer you, as a valued listener, a free copy to the Roadmap to Real Estate Investing, which is a document that I've put together which helps you identify what strategy would best suit your needs at this current time. You go over certain things that are included in this document step by step, and it'll hopefully provide you with some clarity. So have a look. You can go to www.welloff.ca/guide to download your free copy.